What is good, guys? It's Ray J back with another video. And in this one, I want to talk about what's going on with SPY and what this means for Tesla. I'm going to talk about SPY and how it may pan out for the next 12 months, break down some very important factors that could affect it, and what this means for the market moving forward. But before I bring any devil's information, before I get into any more details, let me just mention a couple of things. Firstly, I am not a financial planner, so take nothing I say as financial advice. And also, if you guys can, please check out the Moomoo link, which is down below and in the description. If you sign up for Moomoo, the link down below, and deposit $100 into the account, you are guaranteed up to 5 free stocks. If you deposit $1,000, you're guaranteed up to 15 free stocks, and the offer ends very soon. Anyways, now let's break down what's going on with SPY and the markets. I just want to break down something very important. When it comes to the way the market moves, we tend to see Tesla move very similar to that of SPY and the QQQ. However, as of recent, if you look at the price comparison between them, right, we have this blue line looking like SPY, and we have this white line being Tesla. Tesla has been underperforming ever since the year started, and this happened because of a negative catalyst. That catalyst started off with their deliveries and ended up dropping after the deliveries came out because Tesla did not smash expectations. And then on top of that, basically the news has come out, lots of bad news for Tesla with price cuts and such, recessionary fears and a recessionary environment affecting them with lowering demand across China and Europe. It's continuing to hurt Tesla and their margins. That's why Tesla's been dropping like crazy. But the thing about Tesla is that it has a very low price price ratio. It's been underperforming, and whether or not it continues to perform the market or outperform the market or not depends on earnings. We're going to be watching earnings very carefully this Wednesday. But I want to talk about something very important on SPY, which I think will affect Tesla later on for the year. And I think it's going to be very important for you guys to pay attention to this. So, the way the market moves is it's based off manipulation, it's based off options, it's based off different factors. Right now, the market is becoming very greedy. We're getting very close to extreme greed. When the market reaches extreme greed, we tend to see the market correct. But the thing about this next moment in which we reach extreme greed, the market's going to be in all-time highs. Now, here's the important thing about that. The market looks bullish right now. SPY to me, let me show you SPY. The daily looks bullish. We got a bullish crossover on the PPO that's potentially coming with high volume that's coming in. This suggests we could be pushing higher. And I think that's, we're not just going to push up higher, but I think that SPY is also going to be forming a top soon. So the reason I say that is because we have this bearish divergence developing on the daily, and we have potentially more fears coming out about the recession because you can't forget that the recession is coming very soon. And I think that the other factors affecting this are going to be the interest rates. So the Fed, they initially made it very clear that they're not going to be basically cutting in March, at least as of right now. There's no plan to do so. The market initially thought they would, but they've basically changed their plans. This was because the last CPI that came out was kind of hot. If we see another CPI like that, it's not going to be the best of things. What do I think the market's going to do? Honestly, guys, I think the market has a correction coming. And the reason I believe that is because of the recessionary fears, the Fed keeping rates high, how it's going to affect earnings, and a bunch of different factors, especially because the market's becoming extremely greedy. We're getting very close to those extremes. And the put and call positioning is now moving towards greed, especially when we get close to one. That's when things really start to shift. So don't forget it's technicals. It's also because of fundamentals and because of the fact that a recession is likely coming. With the recession coming, I think the market's going to price in the recession very fast, and then we're going to get a very quick recovery because of this right here. When we approach elections, generally the market tends to uptrend at least 3 months beforehand, and we also tend to rally after election years come out. So it's going to be very bad for the presidential elections if we end up getting basically a really, really bad crash going into the election year. That's likely going to be very horrible. And I don't think that's going to happen. I think that they're going to try to make the crash very fast. The reason they're pumping the market really hard is so that the crash doesn't look too bad. And then they're going to be squeezing shorts all over again. And I'm going to explain how this is going to pan out. So, where is SPY going to top? I don't truly know, guys, because we're in new territory. We've never actually been this high before in history. So, this is very important for SPY. We actually broke all-time highs, right? So it depends. I mean, I called out 485. That's one possible target. It could even be 490, could even be 500. We're going to just go with 485 to 490, one of those two. And I think that a correction is going to come from there. What we could do is take our very handy dandy Fibonacci extension tool or Fibonacci retracement tool. I think that's actually more useful. And what you'll see is that if we top at 485, the 0.618 retracement happens to be at 438, which aligns with this big gap over here. If we push this a little higher, and let's just say SPY tops at 490, the 0.618 retracement happens to be at 440, aligning with this gap down here. So it makes a lot of sense for it to top around there. If it goes a little bit higher than that, I mean, it's going to be very close to where that gap is either way, whether it's 495 to 500. But the 0.618 does suggest there could be a correction coming around that level. So I'm going to just assume it's 490 just for now. And then I just want to mention to everyone else that depending on where SPY goes, I don't know where the top is going to be. That just depends on how it reacts. We have this strong bearish divergence being developed, which suggests that there's a topping process coming. And then when you look at the daily chart, we have a lot of gaps on SPY. We have a bunch of gaps in the 470s. There's one in 471. We also happen to have, let me just double check this imbalance down here at 468 that hasn't really filled. Then we also happen to have, there's just a lot of them I found. I think there's a small one right here at 464. And then we have this massive gap all the way down towards like 440. Now, do all the gaps have to fill? No, but most of them do historically tend to fill. So there's a good chance that a lot of them will eventually fill. Not all of them, but some of them. So what could end up panning out? Looking at the options positioning, this doesn't guarantee anything all the time because even when we saw a lot of these high put to call ratios in like October and August, right, of 2023, the market still kind of like had its correction. So what I think is going to happen is this: there's going to be a cycle in the markets when everyone becomes extremely greedy, as we're approaching extreme greed right now, and hold this. There's going to be a correction coming, especially thanks to the recessionary fears. When the market corrects, everyone's going to be screaming, the crash is here, it's going to last forever, this and that. Everyone's going to turn extremely fearful, and that's when the market's going to bounce. On top of that, I just want to call out that all these people are going to act like the crash is going to last forever. Instead, to trick everyone, they're going to make the crash very fast. It's going to be quick, a very fast crash, and then we're going to see a quick recovery because of the election. I'm going to break down what it might look like. So I called out, and I want to be very clear about my record. I'm not perfect, guys. I've made a lot of mistakes in the past. I'm not a perfect human being. I'm not a perfect specimen of a human. That's just my joke. But looking at the charts, I told everyone when this was crashing, you guys remember back in September, October, I made another video about this. I said that in November, there's going to be a squeeze. In December, the market's going to run. They're going to squeeze shorts. I went over a lot of technical analysis at that time, and we got a massive parabolic squeeze from November 2023 to now, right? So the market could make crazy moves, and there have been times where I've been correct on these calls. So I just want to tell you what I'm thinking now, and here's my answer. So I think, and let me also add that the second half of the year is going to be bullish, in my opinion. The first half might not be that strong. So we could push a little bit more. I don't know if we're going to top at 485 or 490, depending on different factors. And it could even go a little higher, could get very close to 500, who knows. But we're just going to go with 490 for now. Then there's going to be a correction starting. So this may last 1 to 2 weeks of pumping, market holding up. Then a correction is going to start like this, approaching the month of March. I think the market's going to see some downside. And I think that we're eventually going to be tanking. I think there's going to be a correction because of the recession, and the market is going to price in the recession very fast. So, this quote unquote crash is going to be quick, it's going to be very fast. And they're pumping the market so high so that the crash doesn't seem that bad, especially since it's an election year. Another thing about the election year is I told everyone in 2023, we're going to have a very strong close to the year. I was saying this back in October, the market's going to rally. Why? Because if we had a bad year before the election, that tends to not be good for the market and these politicians and such. That's my view. So what's going to happen is we're going to see a big drop like this. And we have this blue trend line, which is going to be our key support. So I would presume we basically reach this trend line like right around here, depending on the timing. It might reach this around April to May period. And then what's going to happen is when the market hits this low down here, whether it's in April/May, however long it takes, and we can also adjust this blue trend line depending on the timing, SPY might retest this. And I think we're going to be approaching the 440s. The 0.618 retracement is going to be met. And I think that this is going to happen quickly. I think that's the market's going to price in the recession very fast, all the Fed cuts and everything very, very quickly, right? The recession is coming, guys. It's very serious. The market could tank because of that. And then what's going to happen is when the recession comes, when we not the recession comes, sorry, when the market reaches that low level, when SPY's in the 440s, the fear and greed index is going to hit extreme fear. It's going to happen again. And then we're going to see the put to call ratios going up like crazy. Everyone's going to be buying puts, expecting a big crash. These people on YouTube are going to be screaming about the crash, the crash, the crash. Everyone goes crazy. And when everyone starts to panic, that's when Wall Street start buying and buying and buying. And they're going to cause another massive squeeze to end the year. Massive squeeze 3 months before the election. Historically, the market tends to perform very strongly, and we're going to see a massive squeeze back to new all-time highs right before the election. And then going to the end of the year, we're going to break all-time highs all over again and start pumping like crazy, right? Like crazy. If you don't believe me, check this out. Look at what happened from what was this, the end of July to now. We had 3 months of selling and then 3 months of insane pumping. See how this happened in 6 months, how this panned out. Big drop and a big recovery. Shorts got squeezed. The election year is coming, guys. Don't take this lightly. They don't want the stock market to crash before the election. So that's why they're going to price in the recession very quickly. They're pumping it really hard right now because they're getting ready for a big drop, in my opinion. That's why SPY has this bearish divergence. And excuse me, I apologize, guys. I just want to note that the market's going to top soon. It could pump a little bit more. SPY could reach 490 or so, sure. Once we top, there's going to be this correction phase that starts, and we're going to be approaching basically 450, if not 440, around here. I think that's where we're going to bottom. Once we reach that low, the market's going to price in the recession super quickly. Remember, the market priced in the rate hikes very fast as well. The market is quick with these things. The fear they're going to incite, because Wall Street is probably going to start shorting up here, start offloading on their positions. They're going to want you to be bullish, but this is the time to be very careful. We're going to get this correction phase for the first half of the year. And then around June, the market's going to start the consolidation phase, a really very nice one. May/June will have lots of consolidation. This could even correct way sooner, guys. Could happen much sooner than that. So I'm just like, I'm just kind of being kind of rough with this. So I can't really like promise anything about this being exactly precise. But this is just my estimates, right? We're gonna get this correction, and then June is going to come, and the market's going to start a big recovery because they have to recover the markets approaching the election. I believe that's going to be the outcome, right? Historically, when we're 3 months before the election, the market tends to be very bullish. And also after the election, the market tends to be bullish as well. They don't want the market to look bloody red right before the election. That's why we're going to get a big recovery and a big rally. Okay. And on top of this, when the market hits this low, people are going to be buying puts, shorting the market, going crazy. That's the time to turn greedy. Just like what happened last year, it's going to be a repeat, in my opinion, for the year. So once we recover, we're going to break to new all-time highs again. It's going to run insanely hard, and we're going to form kind of like another maybe cup and handle or something very, very awesome. So that's my view of the markets. Hopefully I wasn't like talking too fast and rushing, but this is how I see it basically panning out. We might pump a little bit more and get this correction, and then we just start the speedy recovery. What does this mean for Tesla stock? I can actually pull Tesla next to this. Hopefully this looks okay. It's a little bit tight, guys, but it's okay. We have SPY to the left. The left side, we have SPY. The right side is where we have Tesla, which I'm about to pull up Tesla. For Tesla stock, basically, when you look at Tesla, right, one could notice that when it comes to Tesla, um, there's actually a lot that's going on with it, at least for the time being. Tesla, in my opinion, is going to likely follow this trend. So I really don't know what's going to happen with Tesla when it comes to its like corrections and such, because this is going to depend on so many different factors. In my opinion, when looking at the way Tesla is moving, whether or not Tesla continues to underperform or not is going to depend heavily on what happens with Tesla's important earnings and such. So we'll be watching that very carefully. Let me just pull up the daily on Tesla. I'm just going to try to make this kind of small. So for Tesla, we have a massive inverse head and shoulders like structure. One could argue that, and it could be finding its bottom very soon and then trying to bounce. Or if Tesla does end up sinking with the markets, it doesn't really matter to me, because whether or not Tesla underperforms SPY for the next like month or few months depends on earnings. So I'm not 100% sure about how that's going to go. But here's the thing about Tesla. regardless of whether or not Tesla crashes more or not. I don't know if Tesla's going to bottom at 200. I don't know if it's going to come down to 180, 150. Who knows where it goes? It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter because when the market recovery starts in June, Tesla is going to be the first one to start running alongside other EVs. The EVs started sinking first. Now they're going to be the first ones to start running. That is my view and my opinion. So I don't know if Tesla is going to essentially, I really don't know how this is going to pan out for Tesla. Okay. It depends on earnings. I mean, there's always a bullish and bearish case. If Tesla does retrace to 180, just hypothetically, right? If it does, let's just say we don't do too well for that period, we're always going to have the recovery potential going into the end of the year, and we're going to see a big run on Tesla, just like what we're seeing on SPY. We're going to see Tesla track SPY and push back into the 300s to all-time highs with the market after June. Okay, the whole market's going to run in sync, just like how Tesla was running from October until the end of the year, just like how SPY was, right? They were running together. Why is Tesla underperforming now? Because there's so much bad news and such. But remember, when the whole market starts to recover, Tesla is going to follow the trend. Okay. Will Tesla crash way harder because of the recession and such? It still could happen, but this will depend on its earnings and stuff. I can't truly predict that right now until I see its earnings. Could Tesla outperform the market? Could Tesla bottom here and then just start kind of pumping into the low 200s, trade sideways, and then just trade sideways for a few months, then start pushing? That's also possible. But my point is, it doesn't matter where Tesla goes for the next 3-4 months. It doesn't matter to me. When SPY corrects, could Tesla correct with SPY? Sure, maybe it can. Maybe Tesla goes down to 180. Maybe it goes down to 150. It does not matter because it's going to make a fast recovery. Just like how Tesla crashed to 100 when Elon Musk was selling shares. What happened after that? From 100, it went all the way up to almost 300 in just about a year. In less than a year, in just like 7 months, Tesla tripled. It's going to run again, guys. Do not be scared. Also, when there's downside on Tesla, it's temporary. It's not going to last forever. It's not going to take 2 years for it to recover. It's going to happen fast. So you have to be prepared for this. When is Tesla going to squeeze? I believe starting around May to June, when the whole market starts to recover, approaching the election year, Tesla's going to follow the trend, and this inverse head and shoulders like structure could play out. Could Tesla even drop lower despite being in this inverse head and shoulders? It still could come down to these lower levels, but the chart could still pump starting in for a massive recovery in June. I think that's going to come for Tesla. It's going to be the first one to recover, and it's going to follow the trend on SPY and break back to much higher levels. I don't know specifically what level it's going to be at. It depends on earnings and such. It's very hard to predict, guys. I don't know if Tesla's going to run after earnings or not. So that's the reason why I don't really want to give you guys specific levels or be too confident about that yet. I need to wait for earnings and such. SPY is very different from Tesla in that regard. But I want to make it clear Tesla is going to squeeze at the end of the year with SPY, in my opinion. We're going to see a nice uptrend starting in June, a very, very strong one. And you have to be prepared for this. A big squeeze is coming. It's going to close the year strong, in my opinion. And also, 2025 will be a strong year for Tesla too. It's going to catch so many people off guard. All these shorts are going to get exposed, and they're going to see something very interesting. So that's it for the video. I thank you all so much for listening. Have an absolutely incredible rest of the day. Hopefully this video about Tesla was helpful and you guys could see how SPY is going to affect it, regardless of what happens for the next 5 months to Tesla, regardless of where it is, whether it's 150, 180 a share, it doesn't matter. It's going to make a full recovery in the second half of this year with SPY and the whole market. I really believe it. And SPY is just one of the reasons why. Once all these fears, excuse me, sorry guys, once all the fears subside, there's going to be a big rally. All right, that's it for this one. Thank you all so much for listening. Have a great day. Remain calm, cool, and collected. Enjoy the weekend, and I'll see you guys very soon. Thank you, and peace out.